Okay, okay. I'm up.
Morning, dear.
Morning.
Didn't you sleep well?
Oh, yeah, but it seems like I just got to bed.
Well, you go wash your face, and I'll have your breakfast all ready as soon as you are.
Yes, sir, it's just like I've always said. There's nothing like life on a farm.
Dear, we haven't had any farm life yet. We just got here.
Yeah, I know. But I can tell. Feel different already. I look at that land just lying out there waiting for me to come out and throw a few seeds around. And then it's gonna grow things. Yes, sir. You can't beat this for a living.
May take a little work.
Nothing's work if you don't mind doing it. Besides, out here on a farm, all you've got to do is just scratch the dirt and clean up. Oh, I'm going to make this thing pay.
Well, anyhow, it'll keep you out in the fresh air. That ought to make that doctor real happy. Have you thought where you're going to start?
Yeah, gonna plow.
Plow?
Sure. Why'd you think I bought that tractor? Shouldn't be surprised if I'm all done by noon.
Oh.
Well, I gotta go. Well, I'm all ready. I'm gonna go out there and tackle the land.
He's gonna tackle the land.
George Johnson was a natural-born farmer. He took to the land like a fly takes to fresh paint. The fresh air fanned his brow and brought on visions of the lush greenery that would spurt up from the ground behind his tractor. George was an artist of sorts. His design for living was left on the land he tilled. And so it went. As the days went by, the lush greenery did indeed spurt up in Annabelle's kitchen garden.
How do you get stuff to grow like that?
A green thumb?
I see it. Ah.
Well, dear, what's on your schedule today?
Well, thought I'd do a little plowing today.
More plowing?
Yep.
Well, ain't it a little bit late to be plowing?
Nope. Way I figured, these fellas around here are in a rut. They plow the same time every year just because their daddies did it before them and their granddaddies before that. There's no need to be a slave to plowing. Do it when you feel like it, when you have time for it. Things are going to grow no matter when you plant them. It's natural for things to grow.
And so George went on his way. He plowed when he felt like it, and planted too. He grappled with the soil for all it was worth. From early in the morning, when George and his trusty tractor took to the hills, until the last blush of sunset, the toiling of George Johnson could be heard in the echoing of his machinery. And the harvest was good to the Johnsons, at least to Annabelle. Her green thumb seemed to work magic in her kitchen garden, and Annabelle stored for the winter. George, too, partook of the harvest. That great day came when he went forth to reap the rewards of his toiling.
Having trouble, George?
Huh?
I said, having trouble, George. Over here.
Say, I haven't seen you around here before.
Well, I haven't been around here lately.
Well, what can I do for you?
I'm Mr. N.
Is that so? Yeah, I must be seeing things.
Oh, wait a minute, George. What's this? Nitrogen.
Say, that's pretty good. Well, how can a little guy like...
I'm powerful, George. I feel great.
Well, let's see you do something else.
Well, say, you got an orange tree around here?
Orange tree? You got corn.
Oh. Give me a lift, George. Ah, you need power, George. What? Nitrogen! Okay, George?
Wow.
Hold on, we're going down.
Oh, I don't believe it. Is that you?
Could be.
Ammonium nitrate fertilizer.
Say, George, you said you wanted to see some of the things I could do, so let's go.
Yes, George, you wanted to see some of the miracles that Mr. N can bring about. For reasons of his own, Mr. N has brought you here to the middle of a citrus grove. Here are luscious oranges. Oranges, George, oranges, sturdy, vigorous trees laden with golden fruit. And grapefruit hanging in heavy clusters on the boughs. It is harvest time in the citrus groves. Harvest time for the farmers who know that farming is more than just scratching the soil and watching the green stuff spurt up. The strength, the vigor, the plentiful harvest in these groves was planned, and a very important part of the plan was the use of balanced fertilizer. In this part of the country, citrus trees begin to produce as much as 2 years earlier by using plentiful amounts of ammonium nitrate. Here, your friend Mr. N starts the trees producing their golden burden, and they produce more and better fruit. In the Southlands, applications of nitrogen teem with the climate in helping to grow fresh vegetables for the winter-bound parts of our country. In the beautiful celery fields, an increase in yield means an increase in profit for the truck farmer. It means more cash for the farmer and more and better vegetables for the consumer. Farther north, the citrus groves and the truck crops of the deep south give way to the gently rolling fields of Georgia. Here, thousands of acres of productive summer pastures offer forage for livestock, and good prices for milk and meat create a great demand for beef and dairy products. But the problem of supplying economical winter feed must be solved before farmers in this area can get full profit from livestock production. And the problem of winter feeding is aided by improving winter pastures. Oats, fescue, rye, and wheat fields can yield abundant winter forage. This test plot shows the striking effect on temporary pastures of top dressing with nitrogen. Fertilizer will increase pasture yields as much as 350% and also greatly increase the quality of the forage. It's the low-cost way to produce milk and meat. Coastal Bermuda and other perennial forage crops respond equally well to generous applications of nitrogen. With the application of proper plant nutrients, 1 acre of coastal Bermuda can support an animal the year round, where 3 acres were normally required. Down through the Delta country, from Cairo southward to the Gulf, cotton is a major cash crop. But the young cotton plant is a hungry feeder, requiring high levels of fertility in the soil. After plowing down a balanced fertilizer, a later side dressing of nitrogen is the plus factor which makes possible increased production and greater profit margins for the grower. The payoff is more cotton. To keep himself on top of the cost-price squeeze, the cotton farmer in the South must produce more cotton per acre, or more milk. How to get more milk from his herds is the problem of the dairyman the country over, and high-quality pastures are an important factor in this milk production. Yes, it's more food for America, rich grains for bread, bringing the abundance of sunshine, soil, and fresh water to our tables. The payoff is in the luscious fruit of our citrus groves, vineyards, and orchards, in the vegetables that go to the canneries and to the tables of the American home. These, George, are some of the miracles made possible by your friend, Mr. N.
Yeah, pretty impressive, Shorty. But what's all this looking at orange trees and pastures and truck crops got to do with me? I raise corn.
You do?
Sure I do. Well, at least I'm going to. I've caught on to the trick of it now. All you do is throw this Mr. N stuff around and stand back. Just watch the corn come up.
George, I was afraid that's what you were thinking of. But there's a lot more to it than just that. You know, you don't get the most out of nitrogen unless you have the right balance of other soil nutrients, such as phosphorus, potassium, lime, and other essential elements.
All right. I'll put on lots of all of it. If a little bit does some good, a whole lot will do wonders.
George.
I'll have corn.
George, you ready for your preaching?
Preaching?
Well, whatever you call it. The facts about raising corn. Give me a lift.
You mean we're gonna...
Mm-hmm. Ready? Hold your hat, George. Nitrogen.
Say, where are we this time?
The Marshall Brothers farm in Missouri. There's Bill and Joe Marshall down there.
Couldn't they afford to get a tractor for whatever it is they're doing?
Oh, not for that job. They're taking a soil test. You ready for the preaching?
I guess.
The key to successful use of fertilizers lies in nutrient balance based on the needs of the soil as determined by a soil test. Samples representing each soil type in a field are sent in to an accredited soil testing lab where the soil is carefully analyzed. Soon, an accurate prescription for the correct proportions of all soil nutrients comes back. And with the aid of his county extension agent, the progressive farmer is able to determine exactly what fertilizer mixture will best fill his needs. He then buys from his dealer those grades of fertilizer that meet the requirements of his soil. About the 1st of April, the Marshalls disked down last year's stocks. At this time, they apply up to 400 or 500 pounds per acre of complete mixed fertilizer of such a composition to supply the soil needs. They balance this with 350 pounds of ammonium nitrate. Plowing returns the humus to the soil, gets the fertilizer down where it belongs, and starts the preparation of a seed bed for the new crop.
Hey, hold it, hold it.
Got any questions?
I thought there was a catch to it. All that fertilizer. Why, where'd anybody get that kind of money?
Well, why don't you ask them?
All right. You coming?
Nope. Think I'll stay up here this time.
Frankly, we got our money from the bank the way most farmers do.
You mean bankers hand out this kind of money just on faith?
Well, not exactly. We pay interest, same as everyone else. But we've been lucky in proving to our bankers that fertilizer pays off. And it does. It costs $38 an acre to grow corn, whether you grow a good crop or not. But for every dollar spent for ammonium nitrate, you can expect at least an extra $4 corn profit. Balancing costs against prices, you can't afford to be without fertilizer.
Costs, prices. Now, a guy's got to be an economist, a weather prophet, and a magician to be a farmer.
Yeah, but he's got to be a hard worker, too.
Yes, on into the days of spring and early summer, the work continues. In May, after disking, the seed goes into the ground. And the best quality seed the marshals can buy. Nowadays, no farmer would think of planting a corn crop without using proven, high-yielding hybrid seed. A balanced fertilizer is put into the rows along with the seed at planting time to ensure the best possible growing environment. Even the best seed needs the richness of well-fertilized soil for abundant growth. Early June comes and the young corn is cultivated. Notice the heavy stand. To use added nitrogen most efficiently, there should be many more plants per acre than some farmers now seed. If you're aiming at an optimum crop of 100 plus bushels, as the marshals are, the final stand of plants should be from 14 to 16,000 stalks per acre. Late in June, a final side dressing of nitrogen is made if necessary. The need for nitrogen may show in the corn plant at different stages. The first symptom of nitrogen deficiency is light green color of the whole plant and yellowing of the midrib and tips of the lower leaves. With continued nitrogen starvation, all the leaves below the ear may turn yellow and finally die, leaving a plant which can produce only nubbins. In contrast, corn as the marshals grow it with plenty of nitrogen has a deep dark green color and big, well-filled ears. And so the work goes on into the harvest. Down the long rows moves the mechanical picker, plucking the golden ears. In this particular field, the yield was 120 bushels to the acre. How much of that yield was due to nitrogen? Perhaps the results of an experiment conducted with comparable seed and soil will show us. Using no fertilizer at all, the yield was 57 bushels to the acre. With starter fertilizer alone, the yield jumped 10 bushels. Nitrogen alone increased the yield by 16 bushels. But using both starter fertilizer and added nitrogen increased the yield not 26 bushels, as you might expect, but a whopping 49 bushels more per acre.
$106 bushel. That's pretty good. But that's not as good as those Marshall brothers did. Why, they got 120. How come?
Well, maybe better luck, or maybe a little better weather, or maybe a little better management. Or it could be a combination of all three.
A little more preaching?
Yep, more preaching.
For many years, successful farmers have followed a policy of crop rotation. Corn after legumes, and oats after corn, or whatever rotation best suited the farmer's individual needs. But corn is the big cash crop in this area. Why let the land produce less than it can, provided you take the necessary steps to protect it from fertility loss and erosion? The marshals take those steps. In the fall after harvest, they chop the old stalks to return organic matter to the soil and protect it from wind and water. Next spring, they can plant corn after corn without fear of lessening soil fertility. For when 80 pounds or more of nitrogen are applied, part of it carries over and increases yields on the following crop. Farmers who sow oats the year after using nitrogen on corn have had an increase in oat yield of from 3 to 18 bushels per acre, simply from the residual carryover of nitrogen in the soil.
You see how it goes, George? The carryover is one thing, but it's the payoff on the corn that really counts. Let me show you. See, if you don't use fertilizer, well, you get maybe 55 bushels, but 27 of them don't count. With corn at, say, $1.40 a bushel, it takes that many to break even. And you've got 28 bushels as your profit. But you put $25 worth of mixed fertilizer and nitrogen on, and you get 120 bushels from each acre. Now we'll take out 45 bushels, say, for expenses, and you've still got 75 bushels, or almost 3 times as much corn as your profit.
It just doesn't seem possible. I don't believe it. This is just another one of your tricks.
Oh, George, don't be a lunkhead. Of course it's one of my tricks. I'm powerful. I feel great.
You know, it's just like I've always said. All you gotta do is scratch the ground a little bit and clean up. Well, if you wanted farming intelligently the way I would, you could make yourself a good life. Or get a little...
The good life. Yes, George, the Marshalls do live the good life. There's hard work, much planning, and a lot of responsibility in it. But when a day's labor is done, there's the deep satisfaction of being at home in a comfortable place. There's the recognition that comes with having your farm the showplace of your community, or earning the admiration and respect of your friends and business associates. There's the good feeling of watching your youngsters grow up here on the land their grandfathers tilled. Of having them take part in 4-H club work, looking forward to the day when they too will share your feeling for the land.
We make a good living off our farm, and it's a good feeling to know that when we leave this land to our children, it'll be in better shape than it was before we started to work it.
To leave the land better than he found it, that is the goal of the modern farmer. He works, he plans, he takes into consideration the needs of the land, and in doing so, he can look forward to an exceptional harvest. Wherever men till the soil, exceptional harvests are possible for those who make use of the great potential of fertilizer in promoting plant growth. In the vast wheat fields of Kansas, in the tobacco fields of Carolina, in the citrus groves, and on the cotton plantations everywhere, Mr. N has worked his miracles. On the pasture lands, in lush fields of alfalfa, beautiful stands of brome grass, in pastures of coastal Bermuda, and peaches, all can be made to bear luxuriantly with the aid of this miracle agent, nitrogen. Golf greens as thick and springy as a woven carpet. And gardens where nature's poetry comes to life in color. In orchard and vineyard, garden and field, the magic power of nitrogen gives to growing things an essential food for life.
Well, here we are home again. Say, did you get any ideas, George?
Yes, sir. I think I did.
Well, so long. I got lots of work to do and lots of places to visit. Goodbye.
Hey, wait.
Yeah?
It's a funny thing to me that I never heard of you before.
Well, George, you would have if you'd been a real farmer.
Why, if I told you, well, if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. You and your green thumbs. Green thumbs. It's not green thumbs that makes these plants grow. It's this ammonium nitrate. This Mr. N. Why, when I get through with some of the things I'm going to put to work around here, you won't recognize this place. Huh?
Come on over here just a minute, will you, please?
What's the matter?
Look. My green thumb.
You mean you've been using... You mean all this time you...
Well, I'll be doggone.